The coffee in Dr. Maya's cup had gone cold hours ago, but she didn't notice. Her eyes were glued to the computer screen, watching strange symbols dance across the monitor. For 3 days straight, these signals had been coming from the Nevada desert, and nobody could figure out what they meant. Maya worked at a special research center where scientists listened for messages from space. She was an expert in languages, not just human languages, but any kind of communication that might come from somewhere else in the universe. Her job was to find patterns, to make sense of the impossible. The crash had happened on a Tuesday morning. A bright object streaked across the sky and slammed into the empty desert with a force that shook windows 50 miles away. Military teams rushed to the scene, expecting to find pieces of a satellite or maybe a meteorite. What they found changed everything. The object was clearly not from Earth. It was smooth, almost alive-looking, with a surface that seemed to shift and change when you looked at it. Most shocking of all, it was sending out signals, not random noise, but organized patterns that suggested intelligence. That's where Maya came in. She was called to join a secret team, tasked with figuring out what these signals meant. The government wanted answers, and they wanted them fast. Maya packed her bags and drove through the night to reach the crash site. The desert facility was unlike anything she'd ever seen. Military personnel moved with quiet urgency, while scientists in white coats studied every piece of data. Maya was led to a trailer filled with computers and communication equipment. Her new workspace overlooked the crash site, where the mysterious object sat under bright floodlights. For days, Maya worked on the signals. They came in waves, sometimes strong, sometimes barely detectable. The mathematical parts were easy enough to understand: basic counting, geometric shapes, even some physics equations that any advanced civilization would know. But there were other parts, sections that felt different. They seemed to pulse with something that reminded Maya of music, or poetry, or even crying. Late one evening, as Maya sat alone in her trailer, something changed. The signals suddenly became much stronger and more focused. Her equipment started picking up something new, not just mathematical patterns, but what seemed like emotional expressions: sadness, pain, and something that felt desperately like a call for help. Maya's hand shook as she realized what she was seeing. This wasn't just a crashed machine sending out automatic distress signals. Someone was inside that craft, and they were alive. She ran to find the team leader, Dr. Rodriguez, and showed him what she'd discovered. Within an hour, medical teams and engineers were working round the clock to find a way into the craft. The signals guided them, almost as if the being inside was teaching them how to help. When they finally broke through, Maya was among the first to see what was inside. The being was unlike anything in any movie or book. She was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to glow with a soft, pearl-like light. Her limbs were longer than human proportions, and her face was both alien and somehow familiar. But it was her eyes that Maya remembered most: large, deep, and filled with an intelligence that seemed ancient and sad. The being was badly hurt. The crash had damaged both her body and the life support systems in her craft. She lay still, breathing slowly, her skin flickering between different shades like a dying light bulb. The medical team didn't know how to help someone whose biology was completely unknown. Maya watched as doctors and scientists surrounded the alien, their instruments beeping and clicking. The being's eyes moved weakly, taking in all the strange faces looking down at her. Maya could see fear there, and confusion, and something that looked like resignation. Without thinking, Maya pushed through the crowd and knelt beside the alien. She reached out slowly and gently touched the being's hand. The skin felt warm and smooth, almost like touching water made solid. The moment their skin made contact, something incredible happened. Maya's mind was suddenly filled with images and feelings that weren't her own. She saw vast cities under purple skies, felt the warmth of two suns on her face, heard music that no human instrument could make. But mostly, she felt overwhelming loneliness and fear. The alien was trying to communicate, not with words or signals, but by sharing her memories and emotions directly. Maya understood that the being's name was something like Zara, at least. That was the closest sound human lips could make. Zara had been traveling alone for longer than Maya could imagine, searching for something she'd lost. More importantly, Maya realized that her touch was somehow helping. The alien's skin grew brighter, her breathing steadied, and the medical monitors showed her vital signs stabilizing. The physical connection between them was doing what all the advanced medical equipment couldn't. Dr. Rodriguez pulled Maya aside later that evening. "Whatever you did in there, it worked. Her condition has improved dramatically. We need you to maintain contact with her." Maya nodded, though she wasn't sure she understood what was happening either. All she knew was that somewhere in the desert, under the bright lights of the research facility, was a being from another world who was alone and afraid, and somehow, Maya's simple human touch was the key to keeping her alive. As Maya walked back to her trailer that night, she looked up at the stars and wondered what other lonely travelers might be out there, searching for connection in the vast darkness of space. She had no idea that her life had just changed forever, or that the simple act of holding someone's hand would lead to choices she never could have imagined. Maya started visiting Zara every morning at exactly 8 o'clock. It had become her routine over the past 3 weeks since first contact. She would bring her coffee, a notebook, and sometimes a small gift like a flower from the desert or a smooth stone she'd found during her evening walks. The medical bay where Zara was recovering looked more like a hotel room now than a sterile laboratory. Maya had convinced Dr. Rodriguez to make it more comfortable. They'd added soft lighting instead of harsh fluorescent bulbs, brought in some plants, and even installed a small speaker so Maya could play music during her visits. Zara was getting strong every day. Her skin had returned to its natural glowing state, shifting between pale silver and warm gold depending on her mood. Maya had learned to read these color changes like expressions on a human face. Silver meant Zara was thinking deeply, gold showed she was content, and when her skin turned a deep blue, Maya knew she was sad or remembering something painful. The communication between them had grown more complex too. What started as simple emotions and images shared through touch had developed into something closer to actual conversation. Maya would place her hand on Zara's arm, and suddenly her mind would fill with thoughts and memories that belonged to someone else. Through these shared moments, Maya learned about Zara's world. It had been beautiful beyond human imagination. The suns hung in purple skies, casting everything in warm, colorful light. Cities floated on crystal platforms above vast oceans that sparkled like liquid diamonds. The people moved gracefully through the air, their homes built into living trees that grew in impossible spirals toward the clouds. But the most amazing thing Maya learned was how Zara's people communicated. They didn't just use words or signals. For them, touch was a language all its own. A gentle brush of fingers could share an entire day's worth of experiences. Holding hands could transfer knowledge that would take humans years to learn through books and study. And deeper connections, the kind that happened between people who truly cared for each other, could share emotions so completely that two beings became almost like one mind. This explained why Maya's touch had such a powerful effect on Zara's health. For Zara's species, physical connection wasn't just nice to have, it was necessary for survival. Being alone, without the touch of another conscious being, was like slowly starving to death. Maya felt her heart break when she understood how long Zara had been traveling alone. Her ship had been part of a group exploring distant parts of the galaxy, searching for new worlds where her people could build colonies. But something had gone wrong during their journey. Zara's ship had been separated from the others during a terrible storm in space. Thrown off course and damaged, she had been drifting alone for what Maya calculated to be about 15 human years. 15 years without a single touch from another thinking being. 15 years of slowly dying from loneliness while her ship's computers searched desperately for any sign of life in the vast emptiness of space. The scientists at the facility were fascinated by Zara's technology, but Maya was more interested in Zara herself. During their daily sessions, she began bringing things from human culture to share. She showed Zara photographs of Earth cities, played different types of music, and even brought books with pictures of art from around the world. Zara was particularly drawn to images of human families. She would study pictures of people hugging, children playing together, couples holding hands, and her skin would shift through complex patterns of color. That Maya had learned meant deep curiosity mixed with longing. One day, Maya brought a small music player and headphones. She helped Zara put them on and played a piece of classical music, something peaceful and beautiful. Zara's reaction was immediate and intense. Her skin blazed with brilliant gold light, and when Maya touched her hand, she felt waves of pure joy flooding through the connection. Zara had never heard music like this before. Her people made sounds for communication, but the idea of organizing sounds purely for beauty and emotion was completely new. Maya spent the next hour sharing different songs, watching Zara's skin dance with colors as she experienced jazz, folk songs, and even some gentle rock music. But it wasn't just Maya teaching Zara. The alien was sharing things too. She showed Maya how her people saw colors that human eyes couldn't detect, how they felt magnetic fields the way humans felt wind, and how they could sense the emotions of living things from great distances. The most incredible gift Zara shared was her memory of the night sky from her home world. Through their connection, Maya experienced seeing the galaxy from a different perspective, with nebulae that looked like vast flowers and star clusters arranged in patterns that told the history of the universe. As the weeks passed, Maya began to notice changes in herself. She was sleeping better, thinking more clearly, and feeling more connected to the world around her. Dr. Rodriguez mentioned that her work had become more creative and insightful. Maya began to wonder if the connection with Zara was affecting her in ways she didn't fully understand. The other researchers noticed the bond between Maya and Zara too. Some thought it was fascinating from a scientific perspective. Others worried that Maya was getting too emotionally involved with their subject. Dr. Rodriguez found himself caught in the middle, trying to balance the valuable research opportunities with concerns about Maya's objectivity. But Maya didn't care about the politics of the research facility. Every morning when she walked into that room and saw Zara's skin brighten with joy at her arrival, she knew she was doing something important. She was keeping another thinking being alive through the simple act of caring about her. What Maya didn't know was that Zara's feelings for her were growing deeper than just gratitude for companionship. In Zara's culture, the kind of intimate emotional and mental connection she shared with Maya was usually reserved for the deepest relationships. Without meaning to, Maya had become the most important person in Zara's universe, and somewhere in the back of her mind, Maya was beginning to realize that Zara had become pretty important to her too. Maya had been working with Zara for 2 months when everything changed. It started with a simple question that Zara asked through their mental connection. During one of their daily sessions, Maya, Zara's thoughts whispered in her mind, "Why do humans put their faces together when they care deeply for someone?" Maya blinked, confused for a moment. Then she realized Zara had been studying the photographs and videos Maya had shared of human culture. She must have seen people kissing in movies or pictures of couples. "You mean kissing?" Maya asked out loud, then shared the concept through their touch connection. What came back through their link made Maya's heart skip. Zara's understanding of the gesture was completely different from what Maya had expected. For Zara's people, the closest equivalent to kissing was a way of sharing life energy itself. It was the deepest form of connection possible, something that could literally keep someone alive when they were dying. Over the following days, Zara began sharing more about her people's ways of showing care. Maya learned that what humans considered simple affection, holding hands, gentle touches, even being close to someone, was actually a complex language of emotional and physical support. For Zara's species, the problem was that Zara was still slowly dying despite all the medical care and daily contact with Maya. Her body was designed to need constant connection with others of her kind. Maya's daily visits helped, but they weren't enough to fully sustain her. Dr. Rodriguez noticed the change first. Zara's color patterns were becoming dimmer, and she was spending more time in a state that seemed like sleep but felt more like depression. The medical monitors showed her vital signs were slowly weakening again. We need to find a way to give her more of what she needs, Dr. Rodriguez told Maya during a private meeting. Your connection with her is the only thing keeping her stable, but it's not enough. Maya felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She was the only person who could communicate with Zara, the only one who could provide the connection that kept her alive. But she was also just one human trying to fill a need. That required an entire community. That evening, Maya sat with Zara, longer than usual. Through their connection, she could feel Zara's sadness and growing weakness. The alien's thoughts were becoming harder to hear, like a radio signal fading in and out. I'm sorry, Maya whispered, holding Zara's hand tightly. I wish I could do more. Zara's response came through their link, weak but clear. You have already done more than I ever hoped to find in this universe. But Maya, I need to tell you something important. What Zara shared next left Maya stunned. In her culture, when someone was dying from lack of connection, there was a way to share enough life energy to save them. It required the deepest possible bond between two beings, something that went far beyond friendship or even the love between family members. Kiss me again, human. Hold me again, human, Zara's thoughts pleaded. Though Maya had never actually kissed her before, Maya realized that Zara was remembering moments from the videos and pictures, wishing they had shared that kind of connection. Maya felt her face burning with confusion and conflict. She cared deeply about Zara, more than she had ever expected to care about anyone. But what Zara was asking for would change everything. Between them, it would also definitely violate every professional boundary Maya was supposed to maintain. The next few days were torture for Maya. She watched Zara growing weaker while she wrestled with an impossible decision. Dr. Rodriguez and the other scientists were pushing her to maintain professional distance, reminding her that Zara was still technically a research subject, not a friend. But Maya knew better. Zara wasn't a research subject. She was a person from another world who was dying of loneliness. She was someone who had shared her deepest memories and feelings, who had taught Maya to see the universe in ways no human had ever imagined. Colonel Harrison, the military officer in charge of security, made things even more complicated. He called Maya into his office and made it clear that any inappropriate emotional attachment to the alien could result in her removal from the project and possible legal consequences. This is a matter of national security, Harrison told her. We can't have our personnel compromised by emotional connections to a potentially dangerous alien entity. Maya wanted to laugh at calling Zara dangerous. The being could barely sit up without help, and her greatest threat was asking for affection. But she understood the colonel's position. To him, Zara wasn't a person. She was an unknown factor that needed to be controlled. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She walked out into the desert and looked up at the stars, thinking about Zara's memories of her home world, somewhere out there. Zara's people might still be searching for her, but if she died here on Earth, they would never know what happened to her. The next morning, Maya made her decision. When she entered Zara's room for their daily session, she found the alien barely conscious. Her skin had faded to a dull gray color that Maya had learned meant she was very close to death. Zara, Maya whispered, taking her hand. I'm here. Zara's eyes opened slowly, focusing on Maya's face with difficulty. Through their fading connection, Maya felt Zara's joy at seeing her one more time, mixed with sadness that this might be their last meeting. Maya looked around to make sure they were alone, then turned off the security cameras with a code Dr. Rodriguez had shared with her for privacy during sensitive communications. Her heart was pounding as she leaned closer to Zara. I don't know if this will work the way you need it to, Maya said softly, but I care about you too much to let you die without trying. She gently touched Zara's face, then slowly brought their lips together in the most careful, tender gesture she had ever made. The moment their lips met, Maya felt an explosion of warmth and light flow between them. Zara's skin blazed with brilliant colors, and through their connection, Maya experienced joy so pure and intense it brought tears to her eyes. But she also felt something else, the security alarm starting to sound in the distance. Someone had noticed the cameras going offline. Maya pulled back and looked into Zara's now bright eyes. The alien's skin was glowing with health and happiness. But Maya knew that their moment of peace was about to end. Footsteps were already echoing in the hallway outside. "Thank you," Zara whispered. The first words she had ever spoken out loud. In English, her voice was like music. The door burst open, and Colonel Harrison stormed in with 2 security officers. Maya stood up slowly, still holding Zara's hand, knowing that everything was about to change. The security office felt like a freezer. Maya sat in a metal chair, her hands cuffed behind her back, staring at a wall clock that seemed to move slower with each passing minute. 3 hours had gone by since Colonel Harrison had arrested her, and no one would tell her what was happening to Zara. Dr. Rodriguez finally walked into the room, his face showing the strain of the past few hours. He sat down across from Maya and rubbed his tired eyes before speaking. "Maya, what were you thinking?" His voice wasn't angry, just deeply worried. "Do you understand what you've done?" Maya looked at him steadily. "I saved her life. That's what I was thinking." "You compromised a classified operation," Rodriguez replied. "The military is calling for a full investigation. They want to know if you've been sharing information with her, if she's been influencing your mind, if this whole thing has been some kind of alien manipulation." The idea was so ridiculous that Maya almost laughed. But the serious look on Rodriguez's face stopped. These people actually believed that Zara, who could barely stand on her own, was somehow controlling Maya's thoughts. "She's not manipulating anyone," Maya said firmly. "She's dying, Dr. Rodriguez. Her people need physical connection to survive. It's like oxygen for them. I couldn't just stand there and watch her fade away." Rodriguez leaned forward. "Maya, I believe you, but Colonel Harrison doesn't. He thinks you've been compromised from the beginning. He's convinced that everything you've told us about Zara's culture and needs is part of some elaborate deception." Over the next few days, Maya learned just how serious her situation was. She was confined to her quarters under guard, while a team of investigators went through every report she had written, every recording of her sessions with Zara, every piece of communication between them. The worst part was not knowing how Zara was doing. Maya's guard, a young soldier named Private Chen, finally took pity on her and whispered that the alien was back in the medical bay, under heavy security. But he couldn't tell her anything about Zara's condition. Meanwhile, the investigation was getting more intense. Maya was questioned for hours at a time by different officers, who asked the same questions over and over. They wanted to know when she first felt attracted to the alien, whether she had received any special instructions from Zara, and if she had any regrets about her actions. "No regrets," Maya told them every time. "I'd do it again." This answer never made them happy. On the 4th day of her confinement, Private Chen brought disturbing news with her breakfast. The alien stopped eating. He whispered while pretending to check the security camera. "The doctors say she won't cooperate with anyone. She just lies there with her eyes closed." Maya felt her heart sink. She knew what was happening. Without their connection, Zara was shutting down again. All the progress they had made was being lost because the military couldn't understand that some bonds went deeper than professional relationships. Dr. Rodriguez visited her again that afternoon. This time, he looked even more worried than before. "Maya, we have a problem," he said, sitting down heavily. "Zara's condition is getting worse fast. But that's not the biggest issue. We've detected signals coming from her ship, not distress calls this time. These look like location beacons." Maya's breath caught. She's calling for help, either that, or her ship is automatically sending out rescue signals now that her health is critical. "Either way, we might have company soon." Rodriguez paused. "The military is divided about what to do. Some want to move Zara to a more secure facility. Others think we should try to establish communication with any ships that might be coming." "What about Zara herself?" Maya asked. "What does she want?" Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. "She won't talk to anyone but you." and Colonel Harrison won't allow any contact between you two until the investigation is complete. Maya stood up and walked to the small window in her quarters. Outside, she could see the desert stretching endlessly under the bright sun. Somewhere in this facility was a being from another world who was slowly dying. Because humans couldn't understand that love wasn't always about politics or security clearances. That evening, Maya received an unexpected visitor. Dr. Lisa Park, a bioethicist from the university, had been called in to review the case. She was a small woman with kind eyes who listened carefully as Maya explained everything that had happened. From an ethical standpoint, Dr. Park said after hearing the whole story, the treatment of this being raises serious questions about sentient rights. If she truly needs physical connection to survive, then denying her that connection could be considered a form of torture. Maya felt a spark of hope for the first time in days. Can you help her? I'm going to try, Dr. Park promised. But Maya, you need to understand that even if we can improve Zara's treatment, your career is probably over. The military doesn't forgive this kind of breach easily. Maya nodded. She had already accepted that possibility. Her old life was gone. The moment she decided to save Zara, the only question now was whether it had been worth it. The answer came that night when Private Chen slipped her another message. Zara had spoken for the first time in days. She had asked the medical team a single question in her broken English. Where is Maya? When Dr. Rodriguez told her this the next morning, Maya saw tears in his eyes. She's not eating. She's not responding to treatment. And she keeps asking. For you, Maya, I think we're going to lose her if this continues. Maya gripped the bars of her window and looked out at the desert sky. Somewhere up there, among all those stars, other beings like Zara might be traveling toward Earth right now. They would arrive to find either a friend who had been cared for by humans, or another victim of fear and misunderstanding. Dr. Rodriguez. Maya said quietly, what would happen if Zara's people arrived and found out we let her die alone? Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was thoughtful. I think that would be the worst possible first impression we could make with an alien civilization. Maya turned back to face him. Then maybe it's time to convince Colonel Harrison that some things are more important than security protocols. But even as she said it, Maya wondered if it was already too late. Each day that passed was another day that Zara grew weaker. Another day that brought whatever was coming from space closer to Earth. And another day that humans had to choose. Between fear and compassion, the clock on the wall kept ticking, counting down to a moment when all their choices would finally matter. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Park had been working quietly behind the scenes, and on Maya's 7th day of confinement, she brought news that changed everything. There's been a development, Dr. Park said, sitting down across from Maya with a thick folder of papers. The story leaked to the media. Maya's heart sank. Oh no, that's going to make everything worse. Actually, it might make things better, Dr. Park replied with a small smile. Someone on the medical team contacted a journalist friend. The story broke this morning on every major news network. Scientist saves dying alien. Faces court-martial is trending worldwide. Maya stared at her. What kind of reaction are people having? Overwhelming support for you and Zara, Dr. Park said, opening her folder to show printed articles and social media posts. People are calling you a hero. There are protests outside military bases demanding humane treatment for Zara. Scientists from around the world are speaking out about the importance of compassionate first contact. Maya felt a mixture of relief and worry. Public attention might help Zara, but it would also put enormous pressure on everyone involved. Dr. Rodriguez arrived an hour later with even bigger news. Maya, you're being released from confinement. The investigation is still ongoing, but there's been too much public pressure to keep you locked up. What about Zara? Maya asked immediately. Rodriguez's face grew serious. That's why we need you. She's gotten much worse. The medical team thinks she has maybe a few days left. But Maya, there's something else. We've confirmed that ships are coming. 3 of them, traveling at incredible speed. They'll be here in less than a week. Maya felt her blood run cold. Zara's people are coming to rescue her. We think so. And if they arrive to find that we've let her die, Rodriguez didn't need to finish the sentence. Maya was escorted to the medical bay immediately. What she saw broke her heart. Zara lay still and pale, her skin the dull gray color that meant she was very close to death. The monitors around her bed showed vital signs so weak they were barely registering. Zara, Maya whispered, taking her hand. Zara's eyes opened slowly, and when she saw Maya, her skin flickered with the faintest hint of gold. Through their weak connection, Maya felt overwhelming relief and love. I thought you had left me. Zara's thoughts whispered in Maya's mind. Never, Maya said out loud, not caring who heard her. I'm here, and I'm not leaving again. Over the next 2 days, Maya spent every waking moment with Zara. The military had finally accepted that their connection was keeping the alien alive, and Maya was given official permission to provide whatever care Zara needed. But even with Maya's constant presence, Zara was still dying. The weeks of separation had taken too great a toll on her body. Dr. Rodriguez explained that while Maya's connection was helping, it might not be enough to fully heal the damage. On the 3rd day, the approaching ships made contact. The signal came through Zara's spacecraft, translated by her ship's computers into English. We are the rescue fleet of the Deep Wanderers, the message said. We seek our lost sister Zara of the Silver Light. If you are the beings of this world, know that we come in peace, seeking only to reclaim our own. Maya was chosen to respond, since she was the only human who understood Zara's culture. With Zara's help, she crafted a message that explained what had happened. Zara is alive, but very weak. Maya transmitted back. We have tried to care for her, but we didn't understand her needs at first. She has taught us much about your people, and we hope for friendship between our worlds. The response came quickly. We will arrive at your location in 2 days. Please continue to care for our sister. We are grateful for your kindness to one who was lost. Maya felt a mix of relief and sadness. Zara would be saved, but she would also be leaving Earth forever. That evening, as Maya sat holding Zara's hand, the alien shared something that shocked her. Maya, Zara's thoughts came through clearly for the first time in days. My people have a way to share life essence permanently. It would mean you could survive in our environment, travel with us among the stars. Maya felt her world tilt. You're asking me to leave Earth to become like you? I'm asking if you want to explore the universe with someone who loves you, Zara replied. But Maya, you must know what this means. Once the change is made, you could never return to being fully human. You would be something new, something between our species. Maya stared down at their joined hands. The choice before her was impossible to imagine just months ago. Stay on Earth and return to her normal life, or leave everything behind to travel among the stars with the being she had come to love. The rescue ships arrived exactly when predicted, landing in the desert near the facility in formations that took Maya's breath away. They were beautiful, organic-looking vessels that seemed to grow from the sand rather than land on it. Zara's people were tall and graceful like her, but Maya was surprised by how different they all looked from each other. Their skin came in different colors and patterns. Their faces showed distinct personalities, and they moved with individual styles that reminded Maya of how humans express themselves through clothing or hairstyles. The leader of the rescue team introduced herself as Commander Lyra. She thanked the humans for caring for Zara, and Maya was amazed when Dr. Rodriguez and even Colonel Harrison showed genuine respect for the alien visitors. Your species shows great promise for wisdom, Commander Lyra told the assembled humans. You could have treated our sister as a specimen or a threat, but instead, one of you chose to love her as a person. This speaks well of your potential for friendship with other worlds. Maya spent her last day on Earth saying goodbye to the life she had known. Dr. Rodriguez told her she would always be remembered as the person who made first contact possible. Even Colonel Harrison admitted that her choices, though difficult, had probably prevented a terrible misunderstanding between species. That evening, Maya stood in the desert under a sky full of stars, holding Zara's hand as the aliens' people prepared to leave. Are you ready? Zara asked, her skin glowing with hope and love. Maya looked up at the infinite expanse of space, then back at Zara's face. Kiss me again, alien. Hold me again, alien, she said, echoing the words that had started their deepest connection. Zara smiled, the first time Maya had ever seen that expression on her face. Kiss me again, human. Hold me again, human, she replied, as their lips met under the starlight. Maya felt the change beginning. Her old life was ending, but something beautiful and impossible was just beginning. Somewhere among all those distant stars was a new home, new adventures, and a love that had already proven it could bridge the gap between worlds. The last thing Maya saw of Earth was the desert facility growing smaller below them as their ship rose toward the stars. She wasn't afraid. She was going home to a place she had never been, with someone who had taught her that the universe was far more full of love than she had ever dared to dream.